All right, a little late, but at least we're here. Okay, written advance notice of this meeting was provided at least 48 hours ago. Such notice provided the time, date, and location of this meeting and included the agenda to the extent it was known at the time. Notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with law. Minutes of this meeting are being kept by the board secretary and will be made available promptly to any member of the public requesting them from the board secretary at 25A Leshen Lane, Hightstown, New Jersey. Minutes will be provided at cost and in accordance with the board policy. Are there any board members present who believe this meeting to be in violation of the Open Public Meeting Act? There being none, we may proceed. In compliance with the fire code of the state of New Jersey, I call your attention to the emergency exits for the room, which are located behind the audience and to either side of us.
Be it resolved that the East Windsor Regional School District, right?
I gotta do the, okay, all right. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Item C.
Having read the materials received, I move the agenda be approved as submitted.
Second.
Poll the board, please.
Ms. Bergioli,
Yes.
Ms. Concepcion,
Yes.
Ms. Drake,
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso,
Yes.
Mr. Laverty,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Lands.
Yes. Item D.
Be it resolved that the East Windsor Regional School District may hold 2 closed sessions at this meeting. These closed sessions concern personnel, perk arbitration. Minutes of these closed sessions will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Second.
Poll the board, please.
Ms. Bergioli,
Yes.
Ms. Concepcion,
Yes.
Ms. Drake,
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso,
Yes.
Mr. Laverty,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Ms. Lands.
Yes. Okay. Our next up will be our first presentation, the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment.
We'll do the World Language Core Resources first.
Okay, we're going to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to start with the World Language Core Resource presentation first. Thank you.
All right. Good evening. I'm Monica Feliciano, the 612 Supervisor for World Language and ESL, and I'm here to talk about the way that we chose to our new resources for World Language Grade 612. So why did we choose to update the language resources? Looking at our curriculum and our resources date back as far back as 2017. Which don't align to our current world language standards, which were updated in 2020. It became to be a bit of an issue with trying to replenish our resources, so updating is necessary. The process that we took to select some of our resources, reached out to multiple vendors to receive hard copies of the teacher books across all 3 languages, the student editions across all 3 languages, as well as any online components that they had, so that our teachers could take a deep dive into their online platforms. We used a rubric to assess the standards alignment instructional quality, and overall suitability for our program. These teachers took this rubric, they took the resources, they had about a month to take a deep dive, look at the rubric, and come to the next meeting with their top choices. At this time, we worked collaboratively to discuss which resources we deemed most effective to align to our curriculum and our standard. I want to note that the French team ultimately did opt to retain their current publisher. However, we needed to update that resource to current year. So while it's not in the agenda, I wanted to note that they are still getting an update. The teacher rubric. So the rubric that we used had many different critical components that the teachers used to do their deep dive of the resources. Standards alignment, ACTFL has the 5 C's, so we wanted to make sure that the resources were able to speak to that: communication, culture, connections, comparisons, and communities. We wanted to make sure that the textbooks also did have an online resource so that they could expand on their instruction in the classroom. And these resources did have those things. Additionally, we wanted to make sure that the teacher components were adequate for our curriculum. We wanted to make sure that there was proficiency-based instruction opportunities throughout the different units, assessments, and differentiation opportunities to support our diverse learners in the classroom. Real-world applications, so our students can actually use the language in authentic activities. And grammar and vocabulary to increase their knowledge base. This is a sample of the rubric that we used. As you can see, it has these categories that I've identified, some criteria. The teachers were able to rate the resources from 1 being poor to 5 being most outstanding. They were able to write comments if they felt that, let's say, a category was a 3, explaining why they thought it was a 3. And then they came with these rubrics to that second meeting to have discussion about what they found. They could say yes, recommend, no, or need further review. They also added additional comments when necessary, but ultimately this worked out pretty seamlessly for that conversation. These are the resources that we selected. For German, the German team, again, 612, Das Reporter-Team by Klett World Languages. Spanish, Reporteros for all the levels by Klett World Languages. I added French here just so that you had a reference. Test Branch is what is currently being used, but again, we're opting to purchase the most updated version that they have for core textbook as well as their online component. And one that we're most excited about is Spanish for Native Heritage Speakers, Anécdotas Inicial by Nosotros One Way Education. I say that because initially when looking at the resources that they had, it was not a resource that was geared towards students who were native or heritage speakers. It was a resource that we used in our Spanish program, just a higher level. This program is geared towards students who come with foundational Spanish and supports with literacy in Spanish. And that is it. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, so next up, we will have the Leader in Me presentation.
Just while she's coming, will we get a copy of the presentation? It was just a couple, but the rubric I couldn't read. I just was curious.
We'll get you copies of everything.
Thank you.
Actually, if you have a PDF, could you put it in Board Docs, Monica's presentation? We'll put it in there. You'll have it. You'll get this one as well.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Santucci. I'm the assistant principal at the Walter C. Black School. I'm so excited and proud, actually, to share with you guys about the Leader in Me program that we're doing at the K-2 schools at Walter C. Black and McKnight. So I'm going to first introduce what the Leader in Me is. So Leader in Me is a school improvement program, and it's based off of the 7 habits of highly effective people. So the program focuses on developing life skills in our students, creating a positive school culture, and improving academic outcomes. And the program promotes finding your superpower, discovering your passion, and learning ways to intrinsically find your own greatness. So before we get started with this slide, I'm going to tell you why we really came about adopting this program, which I should have done 2 slides ago. So we in K... No, we don't need that background slide. I'm doing great, aren't I? So in K-2, we were noticing that as a trend overall, there was a lot of behavioral issues that we were having post-pandemic. And it wasn't, we were kind of doing the same old, trying to switch things up a little, but we felt like we really wanted something school-based that would benefit the students' academics, but also would go into the SEL realm. And we really ended up going with Leader in Me because it's building leaders in our students and not just academics, but having them realize their full potential and give them some strategies to help them along the way, which we'll talk about. So the 7 habits of healthy kids here, as you can see, and you guys can read over the ones, and our students in K-2 know them by heart, and I'll go over what they really mean to them. So the first one is that you're in charge. We want them to also know that they need to have a plan. And we love this one, work first, then play. Everyone can win. Listen before you talk. Together is better, and we sharpen the saw, balance feels best. So they in Franklin Covey feel that if you could teach these principles to young children, then they would not have to wait until they were adults to learn them, and we're really seeing that. So the 7 habits for children help improve academic performance, and they support school success by helping foster the qualities of independence, interdependence, and renewal. So having fun, desire to learn, and making those healthy choices. So if you're curious how Leader in Me works, every school is unique, and we're really benefiting from this because coaches from Leader in Me will partner with schools to set and get targeted results and develop action plans to work toward the goals. So the way it works is the school staff engage with Leader in Me through workshops and professional development sessions, which we had this past year and past summer, and coaching sessions. And then we incorporate highly effective practices in the role as the students and the staff members, even in school communities. School staff, students, and parents, they utilize a number of resources to help them implement and reinforce the process of regular coaching touch points, which we do, and we really benefit from. They teach students how to set, track, and achieve goals in what's called a leadership profile and a portfolio, and that's coming really for us this year. We're going to embark on it. And then invite participation in classroom, which we did a lot of, and school leadership roles, including during student-led leadership events. And it's so cool to even see this at our K-2 level. And families engage in the process throughout their child's academic journey. So some frequently asked questions that I want to highlight for you guys today. So what do students learn through the Leader in Me program? So they really build self-confidence and skills that they need to really just lead their lives and be successful in the 21st century. I know when I was a STEM supervisor, I also often talked about the 4 C's. So that's here. You'll see them: creativity, communication, critical thinking, as well as leadership and teamwork. And then the next one is, are students with special needs or disabilities able to participate in Leader in Me? And is it adapted for their use and adopted for their use? Yeah. So the Leader in Me is designed to engage and empower every student, which is so cool, including our multilingual learners, our new to country, our special education students of all levels. And all students are invited to participate to their extent the teacher feels is appropriate, while they can include fulfilling leadership roles, which they do in our schools, and engaging in goal setting and data tracking. And how do parents support their children in the Leader in Me process? So the families and the educators really partner together to develop the whole child. And here's some ways that we want to highlight that families can support their child. So there's many student-led events. The 7 habits for highly effective families tips that we provide in our newsletters at both of our schools. And then in engaging in the students' school community through many inclusive family engagement opportunities that we have. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Gaikowski about what we've accomplished.
Thank you. So we're just going to see what Leader in Me looked like this year at our schools. It is a 3-year implementation. So this was year 1, and each year we're going to continue to build on that. So the first thing we did was we established a Lighthouse team at both schools. And that Lighthouse team is educators who are interested in being part of this leadership team and getting the program going. So the team was divided into 3 different teams. We have a leadership group, a culture group, and an academic action team. So that group met last summer, and we put together goals for this upcoming school year. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So the first thing we needed to do is implement the daily lessons. So at the K-2 schools, we have an SEL health period that's at the beginning of the day, and the lessons are about 15 minutes long, and it teaches the students about the 7 habits and goes over different things that they need to do to be successful in school. And one of the things that they learn is how to create a leadership portfolio, and that's all connected to these daily lessons. And the lessons are an online platform, but they also have resources that go with it. And the teachers teach them different things, like the habits have motions and dances and things that go with them. So that's where they're really learning the habits, and then they're integrated throughout the day as well. So another part of the Leader in Me program is having school-wide goals. So both schools had an improvement goal related to attendance. So we had different ways that we would be tracking attendance, using graphing, daily announcements, things like that. This is a big part of the Leader in Me program. It's mission statements. So all classrooms created their own mission statements during this past school year. And then those mission statements are posted outside of the classrooms. And then for year 1, some of our students created individual mission statements, and that's something that will further develop as we come into year 2. They also have the opportunity to create goals, and they call them WIGs, which is their wildly important goals, and you'll learn more about that in a little bit. So here's some of our students. You can see the different mission statements that are there. The program does have the lessons in other languages, including Spanish, so that's really great for our bilingual classes. So you can see those pictures. We also have student leadership recognition at both schools. So students who are being proactive, making choices, good choices, they're selected as leaders of the week. So kids can be selected as leaders of the week many different times, and it really gives an opportunity for all students to be recognized, the Leaders of the Week program. And then we also have a little bit more, a goal to hit, which is the Leaders of the Month. So that's like really for a select group of students. And that's at WCB is the Leaders of the Month, and at EMK they call them Habit Heroes. So at WCB they have lunch with the principals, and then at EMK they have a nice picture with their Mustang. We also have school-wide assemblies as part of the Leader in Me. That's when we all get together and we talk about the habits. And again, as Ms. Santucci said, the students know the habits. They know what they need to do to show that they're exhibiting the habits, and it's a lot of engaging and fun activities that we have. One of the other things that the Leader in Me provides is morning announcements. So each morning we have announcements to start our day, so you can kind of see some examples. I'll just share one with you. This month we're focusing on habit 4, think win-win. We celebrate each other's wins, make sure to high-five a friend and tell them good job. So we, every day there's like a little tip, and then that's what we're looking for. We're looking for Leaders of the Month, like, oh, you did a great job thinking win-win and, celebrating your friend's success. So you're the Leader of the Week. So it's really a nice recognition of students. One of the other pieces is how to beautify the school environment. So there is a team that's dedicated to that, as I had shared, the culture team. So it's really about making sure that the message is there, You can see the one picture there, one of the educational assistants at WCB painted a mural, and the Ethnic Night School also has a tree mural because that's like where we have all of our habits housed on the tree, so it's really cool. Okay, I'm going to turn over to Ms. Folks.
Hello. So now that we've shared all that we've accomplished in our first year of implementation, we'd like to kind of show you where we're going next. Thank you. So as Heather mentioned before, one of the things that Leader in Me focuses on is the student leadership portfolios. And student leadership portfolio is used by a student to organize, reflect on, and track their learning and growth. And it kind of documents their successes, their goals. So you'll see some of the examples up here. But some of the things that classes might use are tracking sight words or tracking math facts. We even found an attendance tracker, since that's kind of been a focus for us. And the Lighthouse teams at each school have set a template for each grade level, because they all look a little bit different. And obviously, teachers are allowed to veer from the template, but it's something to kind of get them started with the year. And children will work on these throughout the year, and as the slide before with lessons said, a lot of times those will be done in those early morning lessons. We also talk, one of the things that they're going to focus on are these WIGs, or wildly important goals. And they can be thought of as a big goal that if are accomplished, they can make a big difference in their learning and personal growth. So they'll work with their teachers to come up with these goals, and they don't all have to be academic. They can also be personal. So it could be, again, improving math facts or improving comprehension, but it also could be, I want to be more organized, or I want to have better time management. And then once those goals are achieved, we celebrate and we really recognize those students for accomplishing those goals. And then the school-wide action team. So Heather mentioned that in the beginning of this program, we had the Lighthouse team that was split into the leadership, culture, and academics. Well, this year, now we are bringing in the whole staff. So we are going to give a survey to our staff, and they are going to kind of share the things that they're interested in. And from there, it helps to break them into these three teams: leadership, culture, and academics. And that way, everyone in the staff is involved and working towards this common goal, so that we have, this community. We all, right now, are all speaking the same language. All of the teachers, all of the staff, the EAs, everyone. So this will just kind of keep everyone on board and working towards that continuing goal. Mr. Sheridan, and he's never lived Leader in Me, so we gave him the really exciting ending.
And the most rewarding. Good evening. So let's see what our students have to say about Leader in Me.
There's one more slide. So we're really excited about what I'll just say it while he's getting it. We're really excited for the 25-26 school year and what Leader in Me has in store. Yeah, exactly.
Just say thank
It said thanks, so we're excited for next year.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
Hi, I do have two questions. There was a mention made about attendance for the upcoming school year. Does that mean that, I guess you guys have connected the student attendance with the program, like they're doing better in attendance? Or is it just to see how it looks like in the future?
So one of our focuses this past year. Okay, look at that. So one of the focuses for the district this past year was kind of addressing chronic absenteeism, because it's just something, it's not just this district, it's lots of districts. So we thought, what a great way to tie in being a leader and doing the right thing and making the right choices with this attendance goal. So we made it fun. You know, we had at EMK, we had the race towards great attendance. There was nobody was punished. There was nothing like that, but there were fun ways to celebrate, like, I'm here, I'm doing these things. Obviously, we know if they're sick, they shouldn't be coming to school, but just that was a goal, is we're gonna try to be here on the days that we're healthy and we can get here to learn. So that was just one of the things that we were trying to tie in, something we were already working towards with the Leader in Me, and kind of get the kiddos on board as well.
Thank you, and I have one more question. So my last question is, when there was talk about a survey for the staff to see what part of the team for them to go on, right? Does that apply to like the first year teachers? And if so, does their mentor or the teacher lead that helps them and guide them, are they like part of the same group? Like, how would they know how to do that part along with everything else?
So the survey does act a little bit like the sorting hat. Like it tells you, you know, I may be more interested in leadership, I may be more interested in culture, I may be, you know, more interested in academics. So for a student-teacher type situation that's under a mentor teacher, they would join the teacher on that team.
I was asking about first year, but I'm assuming it's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
the
So-
same thing, right?
Yeah, so first year teachers would then be on their team that they're sorted into. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but they'll still have guidance on how to navigate that, because you know it's a lot of pressure being in the district, right? So. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks so much.
Good. Anything else?
It was a great presentation, by the way. I was really excited.
Doing applause tonight. It's good. Thank you, K2. Great job.
Thank you for that. If we can also get a copy of that presentation, that's exciting to hear all the progress that's been made and what's being implemented. All right, next up is the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment.
Hello. So I'm hoping that as I'm the closer, we're not going to be asleep, because there's so many things, there's so many great things that are happening here today. So I'm not sure where Mark's going to put this, but we had a full day of training for the administrators, and part of the training was some of the presentations that we looked at. And this is really the highlight, if you will, for our high school students, for where they are in their graduation proficiency. So for those of you who remember, the NJGPA is listed only in 2 bands. You're either graduation ready or you're not graduation ready. Whereas some of the state tests have 4 bands or 5 bands, this is only 2 bands. So as we look through our 2 bands, we're going to go through and first start looking at NJGPA English, and this is for 11th graders only. So the data that is in front of us is for our current 12th graders. So as we go through looking at this on our list, you'll see the scale score for the state and the district, and then the percentage of students in the state and district that are not yet graduation ready, and the percentage that are graduation ready. What you will see in this is that we have some of our demographics that are well above the state as an overall total population, we're pretty much equal to where the state is. But some of our populations are well above the state, and some of them we still have inconsistencies with. I wanted to be able to go through and share with you as to where were we last year so we know what we're comparing to. So on the far right side, you will see where we were last year and where we were this year. You'll notice that the state went down a percentage point. We went down a little bit more than that, so we were above the state last year, and we are below the state. And then you will see where we are with all of our demographics. And I'm going to ask you to just keep some things in mind when I go through this, when we talk about that we're below the state in some areas, because we really did a deep dive in saying, okay, we're still below, we're doing all these extra things, what's happening? And I'm going to come to that after I just do the, if you will, the get out of the way things that we have to go through talking about. Then we go into NJGPA, and as you go through the NJGPA, as soon as we see that 55% of our students in 11th grade are meeting this requirement, there's an alarm there. And then when you look through the state, it's 58%. It's a real big difference from the ELA than it is to math. Again, you will see those same populations that are above the state as they were for English. When we go through and look at where we were last year to this year, you will see that the state has improved a little. Math fell back a little bit as a district, but then as you go through and look at some of the demographics, some areas we have decreased, and in some areas we have stayed relatively the same. I want to start on this area just by saying to you, what are we going to do about those students who are not yet graduation ready? So in the state, students have to take the NJGPA before they can go to any other pathway. So the one pathway is for students to be able to retake the assessment in October of their senior year. And then their second pathway is to be able to go through the PSAT, SAT scores like that, and then also to do portfolio. So as the high school and I were looking through these numbers, you're going to see in math there were 173 students who did not meet the requirement for math, and there are another 10 that did not test. However, we have 103 students who are approaching. So the test scores between 700 and 724 are what we're calling approaching. They're within that zone to say if the students got a couple more questions correct, they would be at that 725, which would put them into the graduation ready. So those will be those 103 students we will retest in October, along with those 10 who have not yet tested. And then those 70 who are below that 700, we will automatically put in the portfolio process. And our plan is to start the portfolio process much earlier this year. And then of those 113 students who will test in October, based on when we receive their data, we'll determine if they then are graduation ready by the NJGPA, or if they will then have to go into the portfolio, and that would be later in the year. Usually in December, we have the October results. And then the same thing would happen for the ELA. And so far, so good? So now we're like, there's still something missing here. Where are we? And for those of you who were around 10 years ago, you would have remembered that we started taking a deeper dive into the students who we're talking about are homegrown students, students who have been with us through elementary school all the way through high school, and all of these students who have come in throughout the years. So I started to do a little bit of a dive there and say, well, where are these students? And what I'm about to talk about are only those rising 12th graders, which are the students who took NJGPA, and then I'm going to go to the whole high school in a moment. If you look at the 414 students who are rising seniors, only 281 of them, or 68%, were with us in elementary school. 15% of the students came in somewhere between 6th and 8th grade, and another 17% of the students came in during high school years. And 18 of those 71 students came in just this past year as juniors. So we have students that are coming in at all different points in the year, and what we're looking at is that's where we think we may be missing the mark. we're saying we have to put a plan in place. So I worked with the high school and we said, what can we do to acclimate these students? And then as we did a bigger dive, what you'll notice, it's not just this particular class. We talked about this a little bit in our admin retreat today, having all administrators looking at students who are coming new and what are we doing so that they're not getting lost, that we're trying to do something very proactively to ensure that they have the necessary skills for success. So within this group, we talk about all these students that are coming in. We also lose students here. So in this past year, for this particular group, we lost 16 students who transferred out for one reason or another. And then for this particular group, there are 7 students who are repeating 11th grade. And oftentimes we look at this and say, well, the students that are coming in at the last, during high school or during middle school, they probably are multilingual learners. There are many of them that are multilingual learners, but not all of them. So as we go through and you look through this chart, what you're going to see is the breakdown where we talked about the students who are economically disadvantaged coming in, the students who are multilingual learners, and our special needs students. What you'll notice is special needs students have been pretty flat, the same numbers happening throughout the years. You'll notice that right now, if those students who were with us prior to 6th grade, 6% of them were multilingual learners. Total right now is 17% are multilingual learners. So we have gained a nice group of students, but throughout the years, we've gained and lost students. So it's not that we've had these students all the way through, but we have to be able to meet them to be able to give them the tools for success. The other thing we'll notice is that prior to 6th grade, our economically disadvantaged was 37%, and we're now up as just that class at 44%, which that also puts that mark in us. What are we doing to ensure that they have the resources that are needed for success? So then I wanted to take this information and say, now how does that impact on where our students are successful? So for those students who are with us prior to 6th grade, you're going to see that they have scored well above the state in both math and ELA. So there's something really working. We now have to make sure it's working for all the students that are sitting in front of us. So that's where we're thinking that some part of the time we've missed the mark on ensuring that those students have the tools for success, and we've got to make sure we're proactively looking at that. So, and I know I put this presentation in just about 20 minutes ago, so you didn't have time to look through it. So if you have questions as you look through this, I'll be more than happy to answer in the next board meeting as well. So one of the things, because sometimes people see pictures better than all those numbers, I decided to do the pie chart so you can see for all students now in high school. So what I talked about till now was just the rising 12th graders. We're now looking at, for our entire population in the high school, 29% are students who were not with us in elementary school. So this is an opportunity for us to be able to meet these students' needs and to be able to do some hand-holding and find out where are some of the gaps and what is it that we're missing. So some of the areas that we're looking at is to be able to pair these new students with a buddy. Is there someone that came in from their country that is seeing success that we can partner them up with? Is there another student who is willing to take someone on to show them the ropes? We want to also pair these new students with a mentor. We do college and career readiness, and we do a lot of mentoring with our 9th graders. We'd like to expand this to any new students that are coming in so that they have someone, that they have a trusted adult to go to, and they have someone who can give them the lay of the land, if you will. And then besides mentoring them, we're going to invite them to the college and career readiness programs that we have after school. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to fill some gaps in that way. Our biggest thing is to monitor the success and struggles of these new students, not just put them in a classroom and forget about them. Like have a real tailored approach as to, at this point in time, we're going to do some check-ins. We're going to see what's happening. If we have to go through regroup. So we have put this in our administrators' views now to say, we have these new students, we've got to do something more. So this will be a work in progress, but I do believe if we start dealing with some of the students that are coming in and feeling lost and don't know where to go, we're going to see some progress in multiple areas, not just state testing, though we're saying this is important, but having our students feeling that they're part of a community, I think is going to lead to success in areas beyond state testing. Questions?
Hey, Sandy.
Oh,
I have a few questions. One question is there any data on like the number of student dropouts or the number of student that do like night school and like over the years? Because when you look at those numbers, you know, they're surprising. So do we keep track of that over the years? Like, is it less dropouts this past year? Like, how does that look?
so I'm going to tell you there is data. I'm not prepared to share that with you, but I'm sure we can do that. One of the things that we are finding success, and I'm sorry that Monica already left, but what we're doing with our overage undercredited. We have really had some major successes with our students coming in and regaining credit to be able to be ready to graduate with their cohorts, to be able to eliminate that. And I know that's something that Mark has pushed for the last couple of years, and it took some time to get it off the ground, but we're finding a lot of success. So we're hoping that if those numbers are high, we're going to stop that. But I don't have those numbers for you, but there is a database that keeps that together, Jean.
I had a question, Sandy. Sure. In looking into the students who are not doing well, who came to us more recently, are you finding any trends, any ideas as to why they're that far behind in whatever educational backgrounds? Is it because they weren't being educated in this country, or were they coming from school districts from other states or someplace else?
So
in
there's
New
actually,
Jersey? I mean, it'll vary, right, depending on what their deficiencies are educationally, how we fix that.
right, so Bob, we are seeing both things. We're seeing students who have gaps because whether it's interrupted education or coming from a country that is has a different educational philosophy. We're even seeing students who are coming from other states that are coming to us. So some of the things that we have seen is that we have to meet all of these students as individuals, because there isn't a Band-Aid that can fix everything. Because if a student hasn't been in school for 2 years, we have some gaps to fill. If a student is just new and feels lost, we're going to have to deal with them a different way. So I'm going to tell you, this is all new that we're going through, trying to get everybody on the same page to understand that our students, we need to find out where these gaps are to fill them. So there's not just going to be a one-size-fits-all to be able to fix this. One of the things that we are working for is that we don't want to start just in the high school. We want to start, even our K2 administrators noticed today as they were going through some of their data that they have some students that are coming in second grade. So right now, we are just doing a lot of data dives to be able to see, is this happening across the board, whether they're multilingual learners coming in from countries whose education is very different than ours. Some of the times in the high school, when we have students coming in who truly are highly educated, they have an integrated math approach. And because the state of New Jersey says that they need Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 in that order, we then give them Algebra 1 all over again, and then they're not successful when it comes to Algebra 2 because there's not enough time left in their education. So there's some things that we're trying to find out. How can we approach all of these students? And we're not there yet to be able to say to you, here's what we know the solution's going to be. But we know we're going to try and reach them individually. And where we can do small groups, we'll do that. But it's a work in progress for us now. But to be able to start out with making sure these kids have a student buddy, as well as a mentor, to be able to find out where these needs are, I think that's where we're going to start out. And then we, on the other side of this, not outside of the teachers, will be looking as to what is it kind of programs that we can help put in there. We started out with a program, Imagine Learning, this summer for our students in the middle school. We have piloted for our students in the middle school who weren't quite passing math and ELA, and yet they're going to move on to the next grade level, trying to see if there's a resource out there that we can be able to help supplement for those units, if you will, that are happening, that they're lacking, so that they don't have to go back all the way to Algebra 1 if there's only a section that they're dealing with. So we're trying to see where we can build this, but I'm not going to tell you we're there yet, but we're starting on this one.
So we have a process of, we used to talk years ago about the different testing. There's the summative and more diagnostic types of tests. So we're able to provide more diagnostic testing. I'm sorry, there's a fly flying around here. To see where these gaps are for different students and customize a program for them.
So one of the positive things that we saw today as our administrators were doing some of the data dives is that our STAR Renaissance scores are really mirroring some of our benchmarks that we do in-house, whether it's running records, whether it's the state assessment. They're seeing a nice correlation. So we're seeing that there are multiple ways that we can gather this information, that we're not waiting those 3 times a year that we STAR test, that there are other multiple measures that we can work with. But it's a balance that we're trying to keep our students off of computers as much as possible, but there are some times that the computer is going to give us the easiest measure to be able to see that success in 10 minutes versus taking 2 weeks to be able to figure out a student's loss. So we're still going to try and weigh all that out there.
Can you talk a little bit about what that sort of portfolio process looks like for students?
I will do my best. So the portfolio is what they call PATS, their performance assessment tests. So in math, they usually have 4 PATS, and it's for each of the domains that they look at, your algebra, your geometry, and so on. And students, basically what we do in the high school to be able to help our students is that if a child has to take these PATS because they're not graduation ready, our teachers will go and give mini lessons. Then the students will take this performance assessment test, and the teachers grade it. If a student does poorly on it, they have a chance to relearn and then reassess. And they will do that for all 4 PATs. And then once we've graded them and we said that we're pleased that the student has met the requirements, a group of the PATs go off to the state. The state will verify that for graduation, and then the high school would get it saying, yes, your students have met the requirements in there. And then for English, there are a couple of writing pieces and reading pieces that they would have to go through doing, and the same process would happen. It would be a teaching to a small group. Sometimes it's 2 or 3, could be as many as 10 students, and then doing the performance task.
So what it sounds like is they kind of just pull the test apart. They sort of chunk it, like, here,
Correct.
just do it.
Yes.
Instead of doing it all at once.
Correct.
Over a period of like days and,
Yep.
you know, all this testing.
So
they
they
do it in separate parts, which is probably easier for some
Correct. So we have done it in the past that it was aligned to the access and the GPA testing. We are trying to, for next year, we're going to try and do it so that we're doing it earlier so that we can take more of that time to be able to assess our students more individually rather than that big chunk in there.
Thank you.
Sandy, I just need a clarity on the slide number 8. Withdrew in the past year. Is that a particular grade level they withdrew during junior year, senior year, and what happened? Slide 8.
I don't know what that is. Help me with.
That's the one with the does length of time a student is students that have an impact.
This one?
No, number 8. One more back.
Sorry. That's not coming in for me. This one?
Yeah, that one where withdrew in past year. So exactly what happened there?
The students who withdrew?
Yeah.
So we frequently have, one of the things I was speaking with Mark about is we keep on saying, like, we're getting all these new students, these students are coming in, but it's not that our classes are getting too big and we have to, because we're losing some students. We frequently get students, and like, it really puzzles me, we get students that will enter the district September 5th, I'm making this up obviously, and by November 4th they've withdrawn. So when I say they withdrew for they could have gone back to their country, they could have moved, they could, there could be family situations. So I'm just going through saying, we're gaining students, but we're also losing students. So it's not just that we start with a class of 400 and we keep on building up to 450. If we have 50, we're balancing things out. So they could have left for a variety of reasons. I wasn't even looking at the reasons. I was just trying to show the balance that we have. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Sandy, I'm gonna try and parse this out. So, because I know the IEP umbrella catches a lot of students, is there a way we could do a deeper dive for, then those numbers are significantly lower, but I think some of our students have the potential with their, actually should all of our students with the potential with their IEPs and 504s to be supported to come close to the state level or achieve the state level.
Last year they did.
Yeah, okay, so is there a reason why there's a reduction there? Or can we,
Tell me what
if we met it last year, Mark's saying we met the scores last year.
Language
Yeah.
arts last year was 74%. This year is 49.
I'm just wondering why the
I'm not
scores
sure
are
what
so
you're
much
asking.
lower.
I think Tina's asking about the proficiency percentage for students.
The
with
percentage.
IEPs.
Like if you look at their average scale scores for, say, language arts, we're at 732, which is significantly lower than any of our other subsets. I'm just trying to find more data. Like, can we parse that out even further and make sure we're hitting all those students individually and seeing what they need? Maybe get more information down the pike about those students in particular and how we're supporting them.
Maybe I think I'm still missing. I'm
Yeah.
not here. I'm not.
All right, let me
What do you
think
mean,
about
once they
it.
assess, what we do after they assess, or what we do prior to assessing. I think that's what.
After we see what they're doing and where they're falling short, and how can we support them so they can improve those scores, or coming into making sure the students coming up to 11th grade aren't going to be in the same situation. Like, how are we supporting these students?
Okay, so that's what I said. So there were two different questions. That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to make sure. So actually, it's funny. Dave and I were actually speaking earlier today about when you go through this, if I can get to the right slide. When we come up to this slide where we say we have 113 students that we're going to retest in October, we have that little line there that says we need to check for IEP exemptions. So Dave and I were talking, well, are we going to have our special needs students who have IEPs who are in that little gap between 7 and 724, are we going to have them retest versus just saying they're exempt from passing? So those are some of the things that we've already started having some conversations, because we don't want to just exempt just because they have an IEP, because students who can be successful, we want to give them the tools to be successful for this, if that's what you're referring to.
That's kind of where I'm
Okay.
going, yeah. So I know there's different levels of success within that IEP umbrella. And I just want to make sure we are giving every student what they can optimally achieve and improve these scores for them and support them. So it may be some more future information, like coming down the line.
Well, what I'd
Like,
say is.
or part of David, one of
I would
David's
just say, these are
presentations.
45 students, so we know them as individuals. So, I mean, in terms of the I and IEP, we should be providing them with some specific supports to meet their needs. So the good thing about it is, every student counts, but the fact that the cohort is 45, we know exactly who those students are and what their educational programs are.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, number 3, our superintendent's report.
Can I just ask, apologies, can we add this onto old business? So people can,
Absolutely. I assumed, because Sandy already said, let's put questions next meeting as well. So perfect. Thank you for reminding, though.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Busy evening. So we had 3 presentations tonight. I do want to thank Ms. Feliciano for her update regarding the World Language Core Resource Recommendation. Obviously, our K2 team, Ms. Krakowski, Ms. Foltz, Mr. Sheridan, and Mr. Santucci for the update regarding Leader of Me. Looking forward to year 2 of implementation. And also want to thank Sandy Small for the NJ GPA update. Some other updates for the midsummer. Hard to believe that it's August, but August is here. It's the Sunday of the summer. Getting a little nervous about how fast things are flying here. So as was mentioned today, today was actually day 1 of our annual administrative retreat. So we have a 4-day, I'm not sure if it's really a retreat, but it's a planning professional development session. Today was productive. Today was day 1. We kind of, really a few things we addressed today was really kind of our theme of leading with purpose, empowering all learners. Some of the things we addressed today, in addition to student performance data, we really looked at purpose in terms of us as individual leaders, but also as collective leaders in terms of kind of having an opportunity to reflect, but also refine and determine what we think that purpose is as it relates to meeting the needs of students, but ultimately supporting the adults who are working with our students each day. Some of that work was connected to some work related to Trust and Inspire, a book by Stephen Covey, just in terms of some leadership approaches to consider for the district. So I think today was a productive day. We also looked at the New Jersey school climate data, specifically with the domains connected to staff feedback and family feedback, looking at areas that we thought were received a mean less than 3. We looked at those as being areas for consideration growth or just further exploration and explanation, but also looking at those areas that scored above a mean of a 3. We kind of categorized those as being areas of strength, and we're going to kind of look towards kind of pursuing that some more, because we want to kind of create some action plans connected to a culture climate goal related to that feedback. So 3 more days to go. Hey, the fun has just started this week, so looking forward to some more collaboration with the team. Summer programming. So hard to believe that our summer programming for students concluded last week. We had talked about those programs that were offered to students that took place at GNR, WCB, and also at the middle school. So we offered some, I'll call it, some summer bridge learning opportunities for students. We had some enrichment extension opportunities for students. We also, under the enrichment umbrella, offered some opportunities for students to kind of get I'll call it a ramp up or a view behind the veil of an upcoming course that they may be eligible for. So anytime that we can have our students within school during the summer, especially our ESY program, obviously, for our special education population, just to alleviate and reduce that summer slide as students are transitioning into a new school year. But I do want to thank all of our teachers and our administrators who organized and participated in our summer programming. I think at our last meeting I mentioned the summer bridge program. I think the first date I think it was on the heels of the first date, which was July 17th. That's really kind of an invitation RSVP for incoming freshmen to acclimate them to the high school. We have a second session scheduled for this week. No, actually, not this week, August 28th, my apologies. 8:30 to 11. Connected to that second session will be the freshman orientation for all that will occur here at the high school. And that will be kind of a 9th grade barbecue and an orientation. That'll be later in the day, 5 to 7 p.m. We have some construction in the building, but we believe we will successfully have our orientation take place. And that's just for everyone to kind of be here, families included. We'll distribute Chromebooks, schedules, et cetera, be some student-led tours, so looking forward to that transitional opportunity. Summer's also the time for professional learning, so our curriculum team has been actively planning, facilitating professional development during the months of July and August. It's a pretty healthy catalog. I did share those offerings with the board several weeks ago. So we want to make sure that we are providing what we think are opportunities for our teachers to have the tools necessary to transition into a new school year. We also have another series of our SIOP strategies, which is an outside provider, which is really an opportunity to take our SIOP strategies to kind of another level. Last year, we focused on language objectives and some background information. And the presenter that we actually have seems to have a good rapport, a good way of delivering content. So he's had about 5 dates scheduled. I think we have 3 more remaining in the month of August. High school principal update. So we're in the process, the throes of meeting with potential candidates. I'm going to be scheduling a core group of individuals to bring back to the district. This week is a little challenging to do that due to the retreat, so it appears to be next Tuesday and Thursday. And my goal is to have a recommendation to the Board of Education at the August 25th meeting. In terms of summer facilities, things are in motion. I'll start here with the high school. So the high school, we have auditorium renovations connected to new HVAC work occurring as we speak. We also engaged in a lighting upgrade in the auditorium. We changed to LED lighting. We also changed the ceiling tiles. Sounds kind of basic, right? But it looks great. So we upgraded the ceiling in the auditorium. So that project is moving nicely. Connected to the high school, right outside the auditorium, is the area known as the Commons. We're just engaging in kind of a renovation, aesthetic upgrade project there, where we just kind of stripped down the walls, got rid of that old cabinetry from about 1972. We're replacing some display cases. We're kind of revamping kind of what we think that hallway environment will look like. One side will be more so kind of athletic related. The side closest to the auditorium will be kind of in honor of the arts. So we look forward to kind of how that will look. And all that work is being done by our maintenance department internally. So I'm excited about how that will come to fruition. In terms of outside the building, we're in the process of we've laid the groundwork, the conduit for the new scoreboard in the stadium. We're in the process of awaiting some structural materials for us to kind of actually place the scoreboard on. That will occur within the next couple of weeks. So things are on schedule for the scoreboard. We have I think our first home game on August 29th, if I'm not mistaken. So we believe we should be on schedule for the scoreboard to be installed in preparation for the home opener. In terms of some other renovations, obviously we've talked about probably about 6 or 7 years now, just in terms of some internal renovations that we've engaged in, where our maintenance department engages in upgrades to classroom spaces and hallways throughout certain sections of schools. Namely, MHK has been one of the primary locations for that. So where we engage in new flooring, new casework within the classroom, new lighting, really just an overall kind of a rehabilitation of that space, and really just makes it a really vibrant, welcoming learning environment. So the 200 wing has been the focal point for this summer. We appreciate being able to have our maintenance department complete that work. They've done some of that work at MHK. They've done some of it at GNR. GNR, we kind of engaged in kind of an en masse process, which took us outside our maintenance department, but that was kind of the blueprint for kind of taking sections of classrooms and upgrading them. EMK. So EMK was due for a new playground blacktop. That process has started. They've kind of stripped the existing surface. They've milled that groundwork, and they'll be in the process of resurfacing that blacktop, that playground area, to be ready for the beginning of the school year. We also have a new basketball court that we'll be installing at EMK. GNR was scheduled to have a new pre-K playground installed. I do not have a specific date on that. I'm actually waiting for an installation date. I don't think it's going to take, I think it's going to take 3 to 4 days for that to be installed, but that should be also ready. 2 weeks?
Yep.
So it should be ready for the beginning of the school year. Just a quick update on the Academy, 268 Academy Street property. That's the property that the board purchased several months ago. That was to relocate the staff currently housed at the White House on Stockton Street, placing them in what we think is a more structurally sound, up-to-date facility. We purchased the property on Academy Street. The renovations are in full swing at that location. And our maintenance team is actually taking care of that. We got a host of folks that are participating in the upgrades. The technology department is also a part of that. But we're in great shape. So our registration services and the administrative team connected to our buildings and grounds department will be housed at that location. And our goal is to also have them in place for the beginning of the school year. So really some exciting things happening as it relates to our facilities within the district. Oh, that's a great reminder. So not really a facility project, but it can fall under the umbrella. So I did share with the board this weekend the transformers related to the bus EV charging stations were installed. So we're really poised to go. We're like ahead of schedule here. So as we've shared before, we have 4 electric buses that will be in rotation in the fall. The charging stations are poised to be ready to go. So we're excited about that. We're going to engage in some level of like ribbon cutting for these EV buses towards the end of the summer here. So we're definitely moving on schedule, actually ahead of schedule for our EV buses. So someone told me that Gene might appreciate hearing about the electric buses. So they are going to happen. Just a couple of reminders regarding, well, one reminder regarding notification. So as we shared before, we have it posted on our website, August 22nd. I repeat, August 22nd, 9 a.m. Parent portal will be the place that parents can find. If you're an elementary parent, you can find your child's teacher placement for the upcoming school year. And if you're a secondary parent, you will be able to find your child's schedule for the upcoming school year. Bus passes will also be available on the 22nd. So in closing tonight, a few months ago, I thought about how could we, and this is really more so under the umbrella of recruitment and so forth within the school district, thought about what could we do to kind of show or highlight aspects of the school district for a potential hire or someone who may be curious about engaging in their professional journey with the East Windsor Regional School District. In addition to that, I also thought about a parent who may consider East Windsor or Heightstown as a place for them to raise their children and attend the school. So we decided to put together a brief video just to try to capture the essence of the school district. And I want to share in closing tonight kind of just that video. I want to give Elise Mattioli a shout out on that video. She was instrumental in making that happen. And the only downside to the video is that the superintendent is in it. So if that would be the letdown. And while we're waiting, I do want to give the technology department a shout out, okay? Anthony Tedeschi's here tonight.
Regional School District in Mercer County, New Jersey.
Hold on.
We proudly
Hold on a second. Let me give Anthony the shout out. To Anthony, thank you for being here this evening. Technology department is priceless. We had our admin retreat earlier, called on you multiple times, very reliable. So I'm going to go to the video. Let me.
Rich and diverse community.
Okay, now it's official.
East Windsor Regional School District, Mercer County, New Jersey. We proudly serve 5,000 students in a culturally rich and diverse community that values family, high expectations, educational equity, while recognizing the importance of students reaching their full potential.
What makes East Windsor so special to me is the student population. I value our student diversity. I think it gives us the opportunity, students, staff, to learn from each other and also to learn about each other. Joining the district is kind of like joining a home.
One of the strengths of the district is that it's so diverse. I made my lifelong
And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next up is old business. So we have a list. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, very good. Any questions?
Comments?
Mark, that was a great video, but I kind of wondered, right? So last year you won like Best Superintendent Award, and it was, it wasn't on the video. Or we had a teacher that won she was picked in the nation as one of the best teachers, right? Or like our arts program is like one of the, the best in New Jersey. Wouldn't it be helpful if we had like those, you could also join a winning team, because we have these amazing things about the district that really should be highlighted.
I think that's a great point. This was more of a humble humility, warmth. Come join us. We're a family. Maybe the next video will be, it's showing, a little bit, but I think that I think you raise a valid point, but the purpose of this was more so connection, right, versus accolades. But point well taken.
All right, thank you. All right, and I had a few questions about your superintendent report. So my first question is, I didn't hear anything mentioned about CREPS upgrades, because remember they had some things that they needed to take care of this summer. And then when the maintenance crew does some of the work, do they receive different compensation, or is that part of their duties umbrella?
I did mention CREPS. Yeah, I did. It's okay.
Sorry, I guess I was so excited.
I mentioned CREPS, the 200 wing, our maintenance department. I did mention them. So what I will say is that's their compensation. That's the work they're doing during that time. I think that's what you're asking me, right? Yeah.
All right, and then one last thing. Music camp. You didn't mention music camp. They had their wonderful concert on July 24th. It was awesome. Were you going to say something about that?
I don't have to. You can say it. You say it.
Yes, the music camp, all the students, they came together. It was the different orchestras. They had so many kids that they actually had them separated by like two different orchestras. They had like 3 or 4 different bands. They were different colors. The students, they were so excited. My kid also, he was beyond excited to do it and to see them participating and so proud. And they took pictures at the end and they got certificates, and just looking forward to it next year.
No, thank you for that. I did miss that. I saw Mr. Weeks there. His son let me into the building actually that day. It was great performance, 140 students, right? 12 days over several weeks. Great product. Our visual performing arts program is a point of pride in our district. And I thank the board for the support, and I thank our parent community for the support, because that does take commitment. I was talking to some parents at that concert who were talking about, I talked to one sibling who said that her sister could not wait for that camp to be over because she wanted to enjoy her summer. And I talked to another parent who said, my child loved coming here. So it's, but the product was great. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Any other questions? Okay. Now we'll move to old business. So we have our list of our committee meetings. No, that comes next.
Should be public comment, then we go to exec. Then when you old business, we come out.
Where am
Yours might issue.
Okay, my apologies. This is not my laptop, so I apologize. I scrolled down too far. So yes, we are going to our first opportunity for board member comments. Any board member comments?
I just wanted to say thank you for all the presentations earlier. They were really good and very informative.
So next, any public, first opportunity for public comments. Any members of the public wish to make a statement, make a comment? Okay, there being none, We will now go into executive session, and we'll be pretty quick, so about 15 minutes. Thank you. Okay, we are back from executive session. Our next up is number 6, old business. Again, so these are our committee dates going forward through the end of the calendar year, and then we'll update those as we move forward. Number 7 is our second opportunity for board member comments. Any questions? No? Okay, a second opportunity. Oh, I'm sorry, before we go forward, this is my opportunity to give an update about our Finance Committee meeting that we had earlier today. Thank you to Mark because he covered some of it in his superintendent's report. So we started out by talking about the budget going forward. Where's my, 1 second here. Hang on 1 second. My apologies. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, so the 26-27 budget, we took a cursory discussion, had a discussion on it, or Paul presented us. So there's some information like our state aid is unknown at this time. Looking at our operating cost increasing for that school year, there's definitely going to be an increase. And unfortunately, looking at if we were to receive a flat state funds, we're definitely going to be in a deficit. Will be short, but Paul says we have some bank cap we can tap into, and there'll be other adjustments. But we'll be discussing that further as the future comes upon us as we move ahead to figure out how we're going to cover all of our costs. We discussed the pre-K facility. So there's some options there. We looked at, Paul reviewed a bunch of properties, 4 of them. There's one that sounds very promising. And the 3 others a lot of them are on wetlands, and they're not very feasible for us to move forward on. So. But this is going to be a long-term project, many years out, because, we have to do things like do a bond referendum and 2 to 3 years of planning and then building. So this is a discussion that we will continue to have, and we'll continue to update the community as we have more information. As I mentioned, Mark discussed all of our admin retreat information, and he went over all the summer facilities projects that we have going on right now. So that's wonderful, less that I have to report on. And then we talked about summer of 2026 projects, the timeline, and when we'll approve the budget, and we'll have meetings, and when things go out to bid. We basically have the timeline of leading up to the 2026 summer projects. And we have about 7 major projects on the table. Some of them are related to HVAC at different buildings and in different wings of different buildings. And there's also going to be some additional reno at GNR, but just related to like the ceilings and the lights and the walls. All of the HVAC at GNR is done, so that's a fantastic thing to hear that's completed. They'll also be looking at lockers and doing things on the 1st and 2nd floor. And possibly some, minor touch-ups in the auditorium. And then also looking at the Hightstown High School practice field. We're going to have some sod installed and do some irrigation over there. And then also adding a parking lot. A lot of our folks will be very happy to hear this. At EMK, we're going to add at least additional 50 spots out front in a separate parking area that we're going to build. And then the existing parking lot will be redone, just like basically new blacktop laid, and maybe squeak in a couple extra spots in there as well. So that's my very succinct report. Before Bob comments that I always have much detail on all my reports. I was very good. So that's it. So then we will move on to our second opportunity for public comments. If there's any members of the public who wish to speak, and there being none, we will move on to item number 8.
Motion to approve routine items by exception. Having read the materials received, I move that the board approve the routine agenda items as submitted. Item A, staffing for August 4th, 2025. B, HIB report from July 24th, 2025. C, approved travel and related expenses. D, approved new resource for world languages grades 6 through 12. E, technology recycling batch number 59. F, approve EMK PTO donation to EMK. G, approve HHS new uncompensated clubs. H, EWRSD 2025-2026 virtual remote learning plan. I, out-of-district placement. J, professional services for students. K, void checks for to be approved. L, vehicle maintenance proposal. M, transportation bid results. N, change order number 1, Heightstown High School Stadium scoreboard. O, change order number 1, Heightstown High School transformer replacement and bus EV charging station. P, designation of official news media. And Q, bill list of August 4th, 2025.
Any questions?
Second.
Hi, I do have a few questions. My first question is on L. This is in regards to the vehicle maintenance proposal between East Windsor and West Windsor. Does West Windsor have electric vehicles? And if so, if we provide their maintenance, does that mean that they would be using like our like charging stations, and if so, is that also added into how much we're going to be charging them?
We will be the first school district in Mercer County with electric buses.
Wow.
That next video is going to be about 10 minutes long. We have a lot of good stuff happening here.
All right, thank you. All right, the next question is for O. I see that the expedited costs went down. Is that a discount because of how long the items took for us to receive them?
Actually, this was to expedite to get the stuff here quicker. So we kind of paid to move up on the shipping list. We cut in line in front of other people. So it was an extra $7,000 and some change to expedite shipping out to us. So we could have it, basically the transformer in time.
Okay, because I thought the delay was on their side. So
Yeah, so when you actually look at the allowance, we actually have allowances built into the contract to allow for these kind of things. So it's not an overall increase to the contract.
All right, thank you so much. And then one more question. For P, the designation of official news media, it talks about the Philadelphia Inquirer and I think the Trentonian is where we advertise the meetings. Do we pick those because of their, like the amount of their following? Like why do we actually pick those and not like newspapers that are closer to us?
Excellent question. So believe it or not, we are still required by state law to advertise in newspapers that are in print, hard print, where you can actually get a hard copy of a newspaper. So there was, in the beginning of the year, there was news that the Trenton Times, where we have advertised for the longest time, and the Star Ledger, both very large newspapers, state of New Jersey, were going to cease printing hard copies, and they were going online only. There was a temporary law that was passed to allow us to still use them that expired in basically in June. There really wasn't much hope that anything was going to really come of it, but someone at the last minute snuck in a bill right before they went in summer session to actually allow us to start advertising. I'll actually forward it to you guys, the actual pending law, that we'll actually be able to use our website. We'll have to give the state our web address. where we'll advertise. They'll collect this information for the entire state and actually publish it for public transparency. We will not be required to put it in a hard copy. We'll be able to use our website and some other, I guess still the Trenton Times. So this is kind of a stopgap measure because these are the only newspapers who really have a presence. Even our local newspaper, The Patch, is pretty much online these days. So it's just a matter, it's really shrinking down. The other option other people have talked about is Trenton Times, believe it or not. But there really aren't too many papers. Print media is a dying art. So that's what that's about.
All right, thank you. And I have one more question. For Q, bill list, it mentions ShopRite. What are we paying them for?
We usually buy supplies for our culinary arts program. We had actually started talking, we can probably start buying some stuff from Chartwell's, which I think would, streamline things a lot easier for our staff, because someone has to usually go over to ShopRite, spend some time, and pay for things. They send us a bill. So I think probably the vast majority of things that they use in the program, we could probably arrange through Chartwell's just to streamline things.
Okay, and then my honest last question is EduSeer is also on there. I thought we were trying to gear away from using EduSeer. Page 9, I believe.
From a bill standpoint, yeah, we haven't fully pulled away from them. So we still needed to compensate them for services.
Okay.
But that is the game plan though.
All right, thanks so much.
Any other questions? No. I just wanted to clarify, I had a question on Wednesday during our agenda meeting about the virtual remote learning plan, item H. And there is no changes to that document. We just need to renew it every year. So, okay, poll the board, please.
Ms. Berjoli?
Yes.
Ms. Concepcion?
Yes.
Ms. Drake?
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
Mr. Laverty?
Yes.
Ms. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Ms. Lands?
Yes. Okay, we do not have a need for a second executive session this evening, so I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.